Welcome to Aunty Shav Says So, the podcast where wisdom meets real talk and self-improvement takes center stage. I'm your host, Aunty Shav, and today I'm not joined by my co-host and my nephew, Fari, but I'm still here to guide you through the twists and turns of personal growth, wellness, and living your best life. Together, we bring diverse perspectives, hard-earned lessons, actionable advice, and unfiltered truths about what it takes to grow, thrive, and become the best version of yourself. Whether we're talking about overcoming challenges, building healthier relationships, or celebrating those small but oh so powerful wins, this is the space for anyone ready to take ownership of their life. So pull up a seat, lean in, and let's talking about becoming the person you were meant to be. Because when Aunty Shav says so, you know it's worth listening to. Hey, y'all. Today, we are talking about learning how to date yourself and learning how to get to know you in every facet of your life, whether you're single, married, divorced, you're in a situationship, which I hope you are not. It's complicated, you're healing, you're thriving, or anywhere in between. A lot of people are looking at my social media and they're raving about my relationship, etc., but they don't know the work that I had to do before this, during this, and I'll continue to do, right? So this episode is for everybody because too many people know how to be in relationships, but do not know how to be with themselves. I was definitely one of them. I used to be what some would describe as a serial dater, right? But this is the time for us to learn how to be with ourselves. People can tell you about their partner's favorite food, favorite color, childhood trauma, but they can't answer those same questions about themselves with clarity. And so I'm holding this space for us to talk about it in depth because we invest so much time into studying other people, their love language, their needs, their moods, but we don't spend that same amount of time studying ourselves. Dating yourself means that you're approaching yourself with curiosity instead of criticism. Instead of asking, what's wrong with me? Why can't I get this kind of date? Why can't I do this? You start asking yourself, who am I becoming? And what are the quality of people that I want around me? What am I attracting? And that is why it's important to take the first steps in dating yourself. Let's talk about why this all matters. If you don't know yourself, you will outsource your identity. You will meet people who will tell you who you're supposed to be, what you're supposed to look like, what you're supposed to do. And you'll just believe it because you haven't spent that time with yourself. You haven't built that rapport with yourself. You'll let your relationship define you. You'll let titles define you. You'll let success or the failure define you. You'll go into hiding because you're embarrassed about how something didn't work out. But when you date yourself, you build intimacy within your own mind. You learn what excites you, what drains you, what's very triggering for you, what fulfills you, what pours into you, and what you actually like, not what you were told to like. And I know there are a lot of, what is it called? Red pill podcasts and dating podcasts. We're not getting into that. I'm not following that. What we're talking about is what is important for you in understanding how you are going to develop. And I think that's especially important in relationships because if you don't know yourself, you don't know what you need. And quite frankly, you'll be walking around mad at somebody else for not meeting an invisible standard, for not meeting a need that you never even understood yourself, that you never were able to communicate or define. And dating yourself helps you communicate better. It helps you make smarter choices. It helps you choose better. It helps you love better, love yourself better. And if you're single, this season is not punishment, it's preparation. I was just out recently and the man told me like, oh, I'm so single, and I'm really happy. And I was like, as you should be. You should be happy to be single. This is the perfect season of your life. This is where you get in the gym. This is where you do all of your, you get to know yourself a little bit deeper. You stay in solitude and you get right? So it's not a punishment. It is prep. And even after you get into the relationship, there's still some additional prep you have to do, but we're not talking about that today. We're talking about just building yourself up, right? And if you're married, dating yourself doesn't threaten your relationship, it strengthens it. Because two whole people build healthier partnerships than two people looking to be completed, right? Looking everywhere, trying to figure it out, right? You need to make that time for yourself to be able to do the things that you like to do, build on what you already want to explore, right? And there are many facets of yourself. And let's break that down. What does it mean for there to be many facets of yourself? You are not one dimensional. If you look at my Insta, I talk about being multifaceted and multidimensional as a person. There are many variations of you, right? There's the professional version of you. That's who your coworkers see, who your supervisors see. If you're the boss, who your direct reports see. There's the private you. That's your intimate life, your family life, your friendships, your partnerships. There's the playful you. There's the wounded you. That's the part of you that's doing some work. There's the ambitious you, the one that is driving you, that is fueling you. There's the spiritual version of you, right? That's your faith center. There's the evolutionary version of you, the evolving you, right? Where you want to go. And when was the last time you checked in with each of those versions of yourself? Sometimes we get stuck in one identity, the responsible one. If you're a Black woman, they always talk about the strong one, right? Dating yourself means you're giving yourself permission to explore outside of the survival. Maybe you've always been a caretaker, but what is it that you actually enjoy outside of taking care of others? Maybe you've always been an achiever or an overachiever. What brings you calm? What brings you peace? What brings you stillness? Maybe you've always been the strong friend. When do you have the opportunity to be soft? Where are you soft? As an adult, we have to get to know ourselves in layers. Take yourself out. Go out to dinner alone. Oh my God, there used to be a Thai spot I used to go to all the time in the village. I would take the train there and just vibe and have lunch with myself. Travel alone. Go on a solo trip to somewhere safe. Journal if you can and make time for yourself to try new hobbies. This is a scary one, but sitting in silence and paying attention to how you feel helps you answer questions like, what lights you up? What makes you uncomfortable? What feels deeply aligned? What feels performative? What feels like something you need to put to the side? Self-knowledge creates a level of self-trust and self-identity that can't just be filled in by another person. It's truly dependent on you. So let's talk about how this looks in different relationship statuses. If you are single, this is your foundation season. Instead of obsessing over who's coming, what they look like, etc., ask yourself, who am I becoming? Learn your standards, learn your non-negotiables, learn those patterns, feel the wounds or repetitive behaviors that keep coming up. And if you're dating someone, don't disappear into potential. Keep your routines, keep your friendships, keep your individuality. My girly pops know that I used to like to disappear, child. I used to go MIA, go missing, right? You still gotta nurture your friendships. You still gotta nurture your relationships with your family, right? You still have to keep your individuality. And if you're married, you still have to court yourself, right? You still have to evolve, still grow, still nurture your own goals and passions. Even if there's moments of compromise, you still have to bring back to that center. Because when you stop growing individually, resentment can creep in, right? And outside of marriages, we all have been there where we've resented something. And if you're in between healing from something, right? Dating yourself is the ideal way to rebuild your confidence. Instead of rushing into the next connection to feel validated, connect with yourself first, please. You are not behind because you're alone. You are not selfish because you prioritize yourself and your needs. You are not difficult because you have standards, but you are clear and you owe yourself the opportunity to be that. What does that look like in practice? I got something for you. You got a notebook? Okay. I give you some time. Get your pen, get your notebook, take your phone out. Let's get these notes. Here's your homework from me. 1, schedule solo time weekly. It does not have to be something that requires you to spend a lot of money. It just needs to be some time with yourself and non-negotiable. A coffee date, a walk, a free museum, glancing at a bookstore, something that requires intentionality. And while you're there, ask yourself intentional questions. What do I need more of? What have I been tolerating that I'm done working around? What version of me feels the most authentic? Revisit your preferences and the rationale and the why behind them, right? A lot of times we have standards and we don't even know where they came from. We have all of these things that we need and we don't even know. What style feels like you? What routines feel life-giving instead of life-altering? Heal what keeps repeating. And if you keep attracting the same dynamic, it's time to look inward. Dating yourself is not about isolation. It's about integration. It's about knowing yourself so deeply that when someone enters your life, they compliment you. They don't complete you. You are already full. They're just adding on, right? With that in mind, let me leave you with this. The longest relationship you will ever have is with yourself. And the best way to sustain that relationship is to make it a healthy one. Be patient with yourself. Be curious about yourself. Be honest with yourself. Be kind to yourself. And whether you're single, married, dating, healing, thriving, or all of the millions of aboves, never stop getting to know who you are. Because when you know who you are, you stop settling for what you aren't. And that changes everything. And don't you forget that when Aunty Shav says so, it's worth listening to. All right, y'all. That's a wrap on today's episode of Aunty Shav Says So. Remember that every step that you take in this life, big or small, is a step towards becoming the best version of you. Growth isn't always easy, but it's always worth it. And if today's episode spoke to you, take what you learned, put it into action, and share it with someone who needs a little bit of inspiration. And do not forget to tune in next week because we've got even more real talk, life lessons, and tools to help you thrive. Until then, I want you to keep growing and keep glowing. And as always, when Aunty Shav says so, you know it's the truth. I'll see you soon, my loves. Peace.